neighbors?
Neighbors.
Jim Jasper. Hi, Don. This is my wife, Mary.
Mary?
That's right, going.
Get that with a rag. That's right.
Woo!
Don't care.
Place.
Yeah.
It's there. No, it's not a house. Where are you from? Wyoming. Wyoming? Wow.
Oh. Which day of the week did you leave?
I left Sunday. And I spent some time in Gilbert Island.
Oh.
My mother had me slave before.
Dan Deal and that tribe.
Oh, no, that's
That probably not, he's not a vet.
that wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. Aired up the tire. Yeah, well, you know, I always have wheel pin problems. Good. Oh, well.
I knew you'd said you were.
Last time. Before you take it off. Then get your little snack in there. Everybody else has
Yeah, I'll talk to her.
This is Ken Cottle's airplane. He's got a modified KR2. It's a kind of KR1.5. It's not a two-place, as you can see, but sort of a nice, roomy one-place airplane. Ken, why don't you tell us a little bit about the airplane?
Yeah, I actually started with the KR1 plans, and then I widened the fuselage from 17 inches to 24 inches and kept it straight in front and a little pulling it in. Made the lengthened it 5-inch panel in front of the main spar and a 17-inch panel aft of the main spar, which made it longer. Shortened the inner wing panel. It's been used Dan Deal's new KR2 panels, which are actually Okay, this is the Dan Deal's wing skins that I used, and they're actually 18 inches longer each side. Therefore, I've shortened the inner wing panels to hold the wing length to 20 foot 8 inches, which is a standard KR2 length. This made it a very similar aerodynamics to the KR2 with the exception that this gives you can see almost a full tapered wing in lieu of the square intermittent. In addition, they really went well, and it takes a lot of help when you put the wing skins on. Now, I happen to be involved in the video for demonstration of the wing skins, and as you could see in there, they went very well. There's a lot of work left after you put the wing skins on and cutting the ailerons out. And they require that you put spars in the wing as well as in the aileron itself, so there's still a great deal of work to be done. But they do save you a great deal of time. And it saves a lot of time in sanding. The wing tips have been designed, which changes the stall characteristics from the original KR. And it currently stalls about like the Cherokee 140, which pretty much in a stall, it just kind of mushes and doesn't tend to fall right or left. So the wing tips are a big factor in that.
Yeah, so notice it's an unusual wingtip design. The wingtip sweeps up, and stock KR plans don't call for that. And so you mentioned these are the Dan Deal wing skins.
Dan Deal, right.
Okay. How much finish work did it take after you've got everything assembled and the ailerons built, in terms of preparation for primer and paint? How much work was required?
Considerably less. It was very little filling. I had along where the spars were a certain amount of drop in it at that point, and that had to be filled in sand, but relatively very little.
Do you have a recommended or a favorite type of filler that you use and a brand name?
I don't have a brand name off.
Probably can't endorse a brand name.
It's been just a little
anyway
bit while, right? It's you want to use a very light one, and then, well as I remember, it was a type they used a lot on the Corvettes, fiberglass bodies and things. That you want to use a very light.
Now these are assembled, the wing skins, with what kind of epoxy or a vinyl ester? Or
it's a polyvinyl or polyester resin, and that's what the skins were made out of. And I believe Dan recommends that. Therefore, they bond. You know, you don't have they're all compatible, and you get a lot better bond.
So, are you allowed to use an epoxy resin to bond the wings, or is it, say, a vinyl ester is required instead of an epoxy?
Well, I believe the instructions Dan had say that it is required that you use polyester resin.
Okay.
I believe it, and I would check and follow those directions. You know, that he puts out. Wouldn't want to vary.
Ken, why don't you tell us about the gear? I noticed that's a little bit different than the landing gear we normally see on KRs.
I used a Sonorai two-place landing gear, and it's a fixed gear. It's mounted onto the front of the main spar, and I used a 3/8 steel made an angle with a web in the center of it. It was built at an angle to throw the landing gear, the wheels forward. And then this is bolted directly to it. I did that because I wanted to get the plane up off the ground, get the trailing edge of the wings up so that it would be usable on grass strips without getting a lot of debris on the trailing edges. I use a 500/5 tire so that will also work well on the grass.
Sure.
And the wheel pants are RV6 wheel pants, which work out real nice. They've already built with a tier on the inside, which covers your brake assembly. And I used on the brakes, I used a Rose-On hydraulic brakes.
Okay.
In addition to the wheel pants and the fixed gear, I've also developed a speed brake, which has been mounted just after the main spar. It has a handle that was the original flap handle for the KRs. It has a 3-position. This speed brake allows me to make descents of 1,000 foot or better without increasing speed. It works very effective, and it really shortens your rollout on landing. Handle assembly here for the speed brake. It's currently in the down position. As you can see, it's a standard KR flap assembly, and just push the button and it pulls up into up position, and it has the 3 down positions. It's not a standard linkage, but it was something that I had to design to work for my own system. The speed brake, as you can see, has two hinges on each side. It's made out of a 1/4-inch aircraft spruce, and it's glassed both sides. And you can see it kind of recesses in. The holes were mounted to the bottom of the fuselage, and then
So you left your cutout plugs in to be put back in.
right, I kept those and mounted those to help streamline it. And then it was spared in the front with fiberglass and foam to contour with the rest of the fuselage.
Ken, you've got an absolutely beautiful airplane. Why don't you tell us what kind of paint job it is and how you put that on?
Thanks for the compliment. The paint is urethane made by DuPont, and it's a real rugged paint that they put on like Frito-Lay trucks that is very chip resistant. If you drill this paint, it's kind of almost rubbery, like a latex paint. It's very shiny, very easy to keep.
You did a beautiful job. How many hours or how long have you spent building this airplane?
It took 27 months from start to finish, and that was tried to do modest work every weekend almost, but I really planned, kept a progress of what I needed to do, not what I wanted to do, and things just go very good that way.
How about some specs?
Cruise on this airplane will cruise about 160 miles per hour. That's an honest cruise. Top speed will be on up around 175, and that's full throttle, flat and level. The stalls around 53, but it actually doesn't start to fall out until you get down around 48, and then it just stalls kind of a mush like a Cherokee 140. Very, very gradual stall.
Real docile.
Right.
Nice looking sun cover you got. Explain how you did that one.
The sun cover is one of the best things I've done for very little hair, and this is made out of just like a shirt material, cotton and a synthetic, and bought some fancy material that had a ribbon in it, and sewed this on in the 3 places so that you had a place for the rods to run in. The rods are stainless steel welding rods, which will not affect your magnetic compass headings, and use 3 suction cups. And if you use something like a Vaseline gel in lieu of water, then they will tend to stay and not fall off on you. It works very good.
It did. And the whole
That's
thing
beautiful.
was underneath my legs. I had to build it.
That's what I did here. It's just a steel plate that's bolted to the gear leg. Plate I threaded. And then there's a that sandwich? Yeah, I thought pretty steel plate.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he's looking at him, he said, hey, let's get
Yeah.
Heater. Looks like oil. I didn't know they had that. I got mine up in the front. Be better back there if I could get it back there, but I ain't gonna start drilling. Yeah, I think it's here. It's in here. Yeah. Yeah, but this gets covered up and there's no air going right past that. It's going along the side of it.
Don't you have a hole in the front there for the air to come there to the carburetor?
Yeah. No.
That's just a filter there.
Yeah. I might change that.
Carburetor heat or something?
No, I got a carburetor heats on the front end of the carburetor. I got that out.
Yeah.
And then
It's below that ring board that's underneath.
Board that goes across here.
Look how you did this.
The one on top here where the deck is.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. I'm about ready to eat something. Yeah.
Yeah, it had to. I mean, you got so much stuff hanging down there.
Before, when you land,
Well, yeah.
the much turbulence around that garbage and all that front wheel. Run around with little t-shirt and that shocks. You gotta get it.
Cozy, probably. Cozy. Yeah, it's cozy. Super curb.
Super curve, except the mixture that's just straight hose.
Yeah, it's got mixed.
Yeah, that's they call it super curve.
Yeah.
I live in San Diego and I know all the people around.
I don't remember his name. It's one of those strange deals. He had it for sale in
thought. Well, yes, sir. No. And when I did it, my tire was down, and I didn't realize it when I spaced it, or when I aired it back up, it just got a little bit close to the tire. But it's all right.
Make it fly a little better. A little different. Does it make it land a little different?
Oh, it lands better.
That one of mine's got a 60-56 prop on it.
Oh,
And it's got the tail, like an old Lycoma, little 65 horse Lycoma on it now. It's a 1.5. Tail on 1.5.
I wasn't satisfied with the regular KR canopy, a bit too close. Done some looking at other aircraft and found the Dragonfly canopy filled my bill. It was wide enough at the shoulders and give me headroom and could be installed without any modification. So I chose to use the Dragonfly canopy.
How'd you mount the canopy to the fuselage?
The canopy is hinged from a fuel tank. Put two hard points in the backside of my fuel tank, and I've got L brackets that come up that attach to a pivot point on the front edge of the canopy. Plywood bulkhead was installed to get the height that I needed my canopy, and I found out that with the original canopy, I needed about 2 inches height on my canopy, so I laid a piece of 1-inch foam on the top longeron, 2 inches high, and set the canopy down on top of it. Then sanded the edges of the foam to match the contour of the canopy and glassed the canopy onto the foam as it sat on the top longeron. The canopy is held open by 2 gas cylinders. The cylinders are off pickup camper shell rear door. They have enough strength to hold the canopy open, and also the way they're designed, once it's past the 45-degree angle, it works in reverse to help close the canopy, to hold the canopy closed. You notice the leading edge of the canopy frame is cut at a 45-degree angle to where the front of the canopy is self-locking. There's only 2 latches on the canopy, one on either side, and the front is self-locking, locks itself in.
Go ahead and drop her right on there.
Done. 210.
Beautiful.
I didn't think you had to game. This is
Okay, you step right in the seat.
By the way, Marty, his wife's blonde, so if you know any new ones, you know, new jokes.
I haven't stayed up with it.
I haven't either.
I got a whole page of them. Right up here. Trust me.
It's like putting sardines in a can.
Oh, no.
About 200 pounds over gross now, right?
Oh, no.
When we start taking off, if you put your arm behind me, it'll help.
No blowing in his ear, though, Chuck.
That's why I got these on.
Don't blow in his neck either.
We'll be back. Well, I thought I'd just roll it over and
Use the other side?
use the other side of it or something.
Well, I think there's a little spot there that ain't going to allow you to do that.
Oh, well.
Oh, it's not bad. Just one spot.
You know, I think I can push the other one while you're at it. You got
Was it worth it?
Oh, yeah.
No.
It was worth the wait.
That one there?
Worth the wait, huh?
Yeah, that's
W-E-I-G-H-T.
Yeah.
yeah, that's, well, not supposed to be on tires anyway. It's supposed to be wide.
Tom, you've got a gorgeous airplane here. A lot of folks are impressed with it. Why don't you tell us what kind of airplane it is and what kind of engine you've got and how long it's been working on it?
Well, it's a KR1. It's completely stock to the exact specifications that Ken Rand designed.
The engine is a little bit different than what he had in mind. It's a Type 4 2600cc engine. It actually came out of a Porsche 914. It's running an Ellison throttle body injector, and as you can see, straight stacks right out of each header. The prop is a 56-incher with a 60-inch pitch.
How long did you spend working on it?
Spent 4 years working on the thing. I started it in 1988, and I just finished it up this summer. It was certificated on June the 10th of this year, flown the first time on June the 13th, and I had 40 hours and 15 minutes on the logbooks when we started out to Covington.
Tom, a lot of folks are having a lot of problems with paint jobs, and I've noticed you've got an absolutely beautiful paint job here. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, it's Sherwin-Williams acrylic enamel. It's called Acrylid, and put some hardener in the paint as I was shooting it, and it turned out better than I had hoped for, to tell you the truth. What you see here is not compounded out or anything. It's just right out of the gun. It went on beautifully. Some of the advantages of the paint is that it becomes tacky and dust and bug-free as quickly as it can. You can actually tape over the paint and put your stripes on within 3 hours. Well, that's a 4-inch wide fiberglass tape that I just molded right on top of the wing. Actually, I laid duct tape over the gap, sealed it, and then put the fiberglass tape on top of it, poured the resin in there, and when it set up, just took an air hose and it popped right loose from the duct tape.
What do you have right here on the edges of that?
That's a rubber channeling that just to kind of finish it off and to keep any chafing down. It's just a little U-shaped channeling like you'd use on a window seal around a 150 or something like that.
Beautiful job. I noticed you've got, are these sheet metal screws?
No, those are
screwed in there.
those are machine screws. There's a little nut plate on the bottom side that's inlaid into the wing surface, and it screws right down in there, so there's no chance of them pulling out.
Dawn is Tom's wife, and of course, with all the wives that help out with the KRs, they provide a lot of support, moral support, and help building the airplane. And we thought it'd be interesting to hear what Dawn had to say about her contribution to building the KR-1.
Well, I was very excited when Tom bought the airplane and really thrilled for him. I didn't exactly know what I was getting into because during the winter months we had wings curing in the living room, carburetors in the kitchen sink. But all in all, I helped him as much as I could with whatever he needed, and it was a very exciting project.
Did you help him do things like lay fiberglass?
Yes, I did that and helped him put the wings on the aircraft when he needed the wings on, which if anybody's ever tried to saw a board with their husband, they know how difficult that can be sometimes. And I worked with him as much as I could and helped him whenever he needed a third hand.
If he decided to build another airplane, would you let him do it?
Absolutely, I'm ready.
Good woman.
I want one for me.
Tom, this is obviously not a stock KR landing gear, and the wheel pants look a little bit different too. Where do these come from?
The wheel pants are off of a Pulsar, or actually they were bought from the Pulsar manufacturer and just kind of adapted. The gear, you're right, it's a fixed gear conversion. It did have retractable gear in it at one time, but before I finished the airplane, I decided to go ahead and make the conversion then. And this is a 5/8-inch thick aluminum bar that's been cut and bent to the shape of this airplane. The conversion really was very simple. The most difficult part was manufacturing the attachment brackets up inside the wing, inside the fuselage, where they bolt through the same holes as the castings did for the retractable gear.
Tom, I'm going to hazard a guess and say that this forward deck here is removable, and the reason I say that is there's a seam that runs all along here, all the way up to where the cowling goes. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. The forward deck is removable simply for access to the back of the instrument panel. The fuel tank is part of this forward deck, and it comes off with the forward deck.
How does this forward deck attach, and how do you remove it from the airplane?
Actually, there are 4 bolts, 2 through the firewall into lock nuts on the forward side of the deck, and then 2 more bolts through the instrument panel. That's the only thing that holds the forward deck to the airplane. It's very rigid, and there's no chance it would ever come out.
I guess the reason you're able to do that with this one is because your forward deck is got a lot of foam in it, so there's a lot of rigidity compared to someone that has just an all fiberglass forward deck.
Exactly. This forward deck was hand carved from foam blocks, just like in the plans, and in the cheek cowls back here are very, very thick, and not very much weight added to that, but it provides a tremendous amount of strength.
It's got a lot of really beautiful features on his KR1, and one of the neat things I've seen about it is his turtle deck assembly. It's not an all fiberglass turtle deck, but it looks like it's made with a combination of foam and glass.
That's right. It's a 1/4-inch thick Clark foam that is actually curved to shape and glued down on top of the upper longeron. I have to give credit to Jim Fawn. You know, sometimes the plagiarism is the most sincere form of flattery. He gave me the idea. We just laid a sheet of 1/4-inch thick Clark foam on the floor, glassed it on one side. When it cured, we scored the underside, and that allowed it to be curved to fit the sides of the fuselage. At that point, it was glued to some formers above the upper longeron. When that dried, the whole thing was cut off and glassed on the inside and reinstalled, and it's as hard as a nail.
So you've actually fiberglassed the outside before you built it?
Correct.
With how many layers of glass did you use?
Just 1 layer.
And did you end up with a second layer after that?
No, just 1 layer. It's built the same way the wing skins would be built. Actually, the canopy was molded. Part of the canopy was done the same way. It gets a little tough to make compound curves with, but if you block it up well and make your curves gentle, it'll work. It just takes a little time.
So the key to this was scoring the underside of the...
Score the underside, which will allow you to curve it, and pull it into shape. Actually, I think you can see some of the score marks through the glass on the underside of it. The score marks just run longitudinally, and they kind of fan out from the vertical fin.
You've got a gorgeous instrument panel, obviously a fairly simple VFR panel, but I noticed your rate of climb indicator goes all the way up to 6,000 feet per minute. Do you get that kind of performance out of the airplane?
Well, not quite, no. The Type 4 engine is a real powerhouse, but it climbs at about 2,500 feet a minute after takeoff, and little things like that. That rate of climb actually came out of an F4.
I can't remember if I asked you before, but what kind of performance do you get out of it in cruise and top speed and so forth?
I cruise the airplane rather gently. 160 is about all that I try to push it for, mainly for fuel economy's sake. With that prop, I'm only turning about 2,850 RPM. Pushing it to the limit, I've seen 215 miles an hour with the airplane. You might notice the canopy support up here. The one thing I was very concerned about in trying to figure out how to keep the canopy from falling over too far, obviously we're trying to keep the canopy from slamming shut should I get hit with a gust of wind. A lot of guys are using a chain or something to keep the canopy open, and it does a fine job. This is actually just a brass hollow tubing hooked up to a heim joint, bolted into the canopy where it will freely swivel, and a 90-degree angle going into a block on the side of the fuselage. To remove it, you just simply pull the arm back, and it swivels freely, hooks to the underside of the canopy where you can just close the thing down, and you don't have to worry about the canopy slamming shut if you get hit by a hard gust of wind.
Just step right down the seat.
He's around. He's gonna come back? Yeah. I think he's gonna try to catch it.
It's small. Okay.
He did.
He's such a gentleman.
Why not?
You gotta love her. You gotta love him. Snug.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna
You love her?
You know, they
Remember what we did?
You'll love each other before you get back.
We had a good time.
Yeah.
I don't want to saw mine in hand and try to figure out how to lengthen it out, you know, cheating the same foot.
Hot rod ride or what?
Oh, yeah.
Is it a fast airplane or what?
Oh,
Did you look and see how fast you were going?
We went over 200 by his dial.
So you liked it, huh?
Y'all
Oh, I love it.
No,
I love it.
go some more.
You know, when you guys went over and you...
All right.
Woo!
Well, you got it made down.
I never
That
thrilled her
is
like
an
that when I
ultimate
fly. What am I
high.
doing wrong, Marty?
KR.
Man alive, I guess that's it. Must
I
be the way
made the sloppiest, worst landing that I've made in
But you know, I wasn't
years.
nervous.
I was.
It must be the way you put that seatbelt.
It must be.
Your partner.
You can tell our flying is gaining recognition and importance when the United States Marine Corps comes in. What other fly-in has a temporary tower come in, brings in crash and fire rescue vehicles, EMT people, and does it for free? I think a couple of them did. The sergeant that was in charge of this, it's hard to pronounce his name, so I'll try. It's Judy and Edgar Gariboli, or United States Marine Corps, 48th Squadron, MATES, Marine Air Traffic Control Squadron, Memphis, Tennessee. These people were in Desert Storm, and they were in operation. They were handling military operations during the conflict over there, launching and recovering aircraft in an undisclosed location. They did a very nice job. They came in here because they knew we were going to be here, and they needed to train some of their people and get them certified for working the type of aircraft that they need to be operating. And since they're out of Memphis, most of the people associated with Memphis that would be flying in this area are now being used down in the Florida and Louisiana area for emergency work associated with the hurricane down there. And as last I heard, they did 313 operations at this airport today versus 10 that were done at the Memphis Center. So they were able to qualify all their people and get a lot of experience and had a good time. Up to Bob and Gladys Muse for their 40th wedding anniversary. It's unusual to have people married 40 years nowadays, and they're quite happily doing it. And Jeanette Rand couldn't be here, so she asked us very nicely to pass a card around and get it signed and give it to them, and we did. And congratulations. Jeanette Rand and I talked Wednesday night when she decided she didn't look like it was going to be able to make it here. Thursday morning they were mailing out the KR2S plans to everybody. So if you have bought plans, they will be waiting on your door when you get home. And she said to emphasize to you, the 3 new sheets of information that are going out on these plans will supersede the information in your workbook. It will work along with your workbook. But so you need to flag all the information in your workbook that is related to these new drawings and use the information on the new drawings. That's the relevant information that you'll need. The only the few changes in the wood kit are the pieces for the longerons, which are originally, I think in the plans they called it to be 12 foot long. They now need to be 14 foot long. But speaking from experience and cutting gusset blocks and everything, you need to order them about 15 foot to have a little extra wood. The bottom 5/8 inch thick piece by 3 inches wide by 38 inches that goes across the bottom of the firewall is a secondary doubler that fits along the bottom. And that's about the only changes in the wood kit. 3 years ago, I inherited this job at Covington, and I've enjoyed it for 3 years, but I'm ready to give it up. So I want somebody else to take it over. So whoever wants to volunteer to do this, hold up your hand and get ready for the firing line. But this is my last year, so somebody's going to have to take it over. I'm not going to, I've got other interests and activities that require a lot of my time. In keeping with what we've tried to do with the KRs, if you've noticed over the years, the KR quality just keeps getting better and better and better, and the people who bring in planes they're just putting so much more work in the airplanes. It gets harder to judge them every year. And for the last 2 years, we have been using Oshkosh rules on judging these airplanes. We don't hold them as stringently to the judging as they do at Oshkosh, but we do it in the spirit, and we try numerically to stay as close as possible to the judging format of Oshkosh. And there are some airplanes out here that are Oshkosh class quality airplanes that are class winners. And for anybody who's interested in how our scoring system is set up, I have the custom-built judging sheet that we use at Oshkosh. And I went through the Oshkosh Judges School, and then I've come back and I've taught other people what they taught me in the way of judging systems. So we have tried to be as fair, and we had a panel of 3 judges judge these aircraft, and then we took the mean average of those 3 scores to eliminate any high or low biases in the judging system to get a mean average. Our 3 judges are Tommy Wymack, Dennis Pointer, and Les Palmer. You 3 stand up so these people can see who the judges are. And the judges put in a lot of hard work, and they learn a lot from it, and they have a good time. Last year in Kentucky, the judges really got burnt badly because of the temperature and everything, and it's a little cooler this year. But I really appreciate these judges, and I have something for them that I will send to them when they get back. It'll be a trophy plaque engraved with appreciation and their names and everything on it that I'll send to them after the event is over. I did the same thing last year with the judges from last year, and I hope they like those plaques. Okay, let's start talking about who won what. We normally, Norm Leonard is in the running for People's Choice Award. He has missed it by a couple points each year. He's been a bridesmaid for the last 2 years. He's still a bridesmaid this year. But he did win longest distance award. He came in from Gillette, Wyoming. He has flown, he's playing further than anybody coming into this area. Last year we gave an award out for longest distance shown up for people coming in. He came in from England and Hawaii and places like that. I didn't do it this year, so it's longest distance award for people flying their KR2 in. So Norm, come up here and get your trophy.
Thank you. It was a good trip this year. I didn't have hardly any bad weather. I hope to have good weather going home. It don't look like it might be as good, but maybe next year. Maybe next year I won't be a bridesmaid.
After this is over, all the trophy winners I need up here in front to get a picture, and then tomorrow I need to shoot both black and white and color pictures of them and their aircraft for publication in Sport Aviation and kit planes. With not the motor itself, it helps though if it looks pretty nice and it's got chrome and it's all polished up, it's got everything else, but we're looking at a safe engine installation. We always look at these aircraft from the aspect of safety. That is the very first criteria that we look at these airplanes. So we look at an airplane, how the engine is set in there, how the wiring is done, is everything very nice and sanitary, very nice quality of work. The winner for this year is Mike Latigo, November 1977 Mike.
Well, my engine installation's taken about a year of wear and tear and beating, and it's changed a little bit. Been trying to do some things to cool it off. Been running a little bit hot, and so it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But I plan on fine-tuning a little bit more and cleaning it up. I'm putting Dan's engine in there, that 2.6, and so we're going to see some changes yet, big-time changes. Thanks a lot.
Humble. He's an A&P mechanic for American Airlines, and since he has started building his KR and keeping it in Dan Deal's hangar, the quality of all the other KRs have come up because they couldn't stand to look at his airplane being so nice and they're being so crummy. So they have started improving them. It's not quite 100%, but it's slowly evolving that way. The best interior deals with the ergonomics of the aircraft. It deals not only with the upholstery, but the placement of the instruments in the dash, how it looks, the whole total package. Is it pleasing? Is everything well laid out? There's a lot of thought gone into it, and there were some pretty close competitors on this, but the best interior goes to Tom Bagnett, 911 TB.
Congratulations. I appreciate this very much. I don't have any upholstery. I don't know what to say. It's just a bare board down there. But I appreciate this very, very much. This is 911 Tango Bravo's first meet, and it means a lot.
The best photo album is what we do with the photo albums. We like for you to bring your albums so other builders can look and see what you're doing. We can explain a lot to them over the phone how to fix something or what needs to be done, but a picture is worth so much more. So the quality of the pictures in the albums have got better. The person who has the photo album, which I consider the encyclopedia of building, is Ken Cottle. but he didn't bring his. So other people had to win. And if Ken would stay home once in a while, people would, would spread the gold around. But the photo album is very important, not only with your presentation of your aircraft, but it allows builders to see the nice work that you have done that they cannot normally see. Jim Fawn won it this year for his presentation. He had a collage of pictures along with a very nicely laid out photo album. Jim, come up here.
By the way, if anybody's got my photo album, I'd like it back. Keith came and got it from me this morning. I haven't seen it since. So anyway, I guess. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Anyway, it does have a wiring diagram in there, though, and I know people wanted to have that published, and I'll rework it and do that. But anyway, I appreciate this. I think the main thing is if you're building an airplane, take a lot of pictures, because you'll never regret it, and you'll always regret it if you didn't snap the pictures. And I've got hundreds of them, and I just put that together for the FAA and threw it in the plane. So thank you.
Innovative utilization of a KR2. This is a very broad area with a lot of subjective thought. And what they came up with was the ability, what can you do to a KR that will be innovative, something that's a little different. When you think like on Mike Latigo, he was having an engine cooling problem, and he did a lot of work on his aircraft, and he ended up moving his baffling around, and he ended up making his air outlet a lot different, and he did a lot of work to make this plane serviceable and to control the cooling on it. If you look at his airplane, you'll also see all kinds of service access doors on this airplane. This allows you to safely look at anything on this airplane. And a lot of KRs do not have all the access necessary to get to all their fittings. Sometimes you have to cut into a panel to get to it. So Mike was given the most innovative utilization of a KR based on the judge's thoughts, and it was the ability to serve his aircraft through inspection panel removal for aircraft safety. If you go out and look at his airplane, everything is accessible through inspection panels that most KRs do not have. So Mike, come up here and get another piece of gold.
Y'all getting tired of seeing me up here? I don't care.
You can see what happens when you have very high quality airplanes. The people start really racking up the gold. Last year, Mike flew his KR in and won People's Choice Award, and it was a big propeller which Ed Sturba had donated, and we mounted on a plaque, and he was quite happy with that. And his plane didn't even have an interior in that time, but it was well thought out and constructed, and the people seemed to really like it. The spot landing contest was another interesting event this year. Last year it was won by cutting the ribbon, and this year it was won by a person who planted his wheels on the ribbon. There were some that came within 4 foot of it, and there were others that floated 200 or 300 feet beyond it. Last year the student got it. This year the teacher got it. Martin Roberts.
I won't talk as long as Dan talks when he comes up here, but I deserve this. Yeah, it was pretty close between Jim and I again this year, I think. But I deserved it more than he did. Thank you.
Martin has no humility. Best KR1, Tom Bagnetto. Ken Cottle finally got some competition in the KR1 class. There are approximately 4 world-class record KR1s around. There is one called Purple Passion, or I think it's the name of it. It's up in the Pacific Northwest. There is another one that looks pretty much like Tom's that belongs to a Lockheed engineer out in Southern California. So there are very few KRs around, but the ones that are very sharp. So the competition for KR1s, if they ever get together, it's going to be extremely tight. Best KR2, Jim Fawn. There it is.
I don't know how to pick that up. You know, last year, Mike said something that made me think a lot about that, and I remember that like it was yesterday. And he stood up here and he talked about when he was building his, and he'd walk around and find a little thing here or find a little thing there, and finally got around to where if any of them were flying, it was a heck of an airplane. And that's what I think too, because at some point you just got to stop and finish it, you know. And my wife one time asked me, well, you think you ever win an award? And I said, no. But one thing I will be is I'll be proud of it. So I'm proud of this too. Thanks.
Well, we're down to one award. The People's Choice. And this is determined not by the judges, but by the gut level feeling of all the people that participate in KR fly-ins. What they think is the best is what it becomes. So this year, a certain KR1 who has already started racking up the gold has now become the People's Choice. Tom, come up here and get your award.
I asked my wife to come up here. This is not going to fit in the KR. She's a little commercial, and she's going to have to carry it back. She deserves more credit than I do.
The history of that propeller, the very first KR2 newsletter was Ernest Butch Copy. Well, Butch had this propeller, and he's had it for years. So I talked him into giving it to me, and I told him what I was going to do with it. He was just thrilled to give it away. Tom, this prop is a non-flying propeller. It is not airworthy. It should never be used on the airplane. I have not given you all the pieces to operationalize it. Tom won overall on that. The people that judged, it was overwhelming, the vote that was for Tom. And last year we tried getting People's Choice votes, and we had very limited response, but by having everybody hang on their ballots and bring them in here and do it, we had a better response than we did before. And it became obvious very quickly that Tom had a superior type airplane, and everybody liked it. It's the kind of airplane, the minute you see it, it just grabs you as being a very, very nice airplane.
Thanks. I just wanted to tell you real quick, I'm going to be Sergeant Gerbolini. It's gerbil like the little kangaroo rat with an "ini" at the end. That's how you pronounce that. I really appreciate you people coming down. We did some little bit of fact figuring as far as for your little kitty goes, and you can bill the United States government for $47,850. That's the equivalent that it would have taken us to train our people in military aircraft flights, the amount of training the United States government invests in air traffic control training. That's what you provided us just in one day. So everything that comes in tomorrow is going to be bonus money. So you can build the U.S. Treasury, and if you can get out of them, then More power to you. As far as your next fly-in, wherever it's going to be, I'm not sure that, as the gentleman said, that either if we can get there or if you want us there, because some of you, we were looking for armament on that aircraft to fool around, especially that white P-51 Mustang-looking thing. We're kind of scared of that one. But if you do want us there and you let us know where you're going to be, we can make an arrangement. We go where the traffic is, wherever that may be. Next year, we're going to be at Norway in February. I don't think you want to do it in Norway. It gets kind of chilly up there in that time frame. But we are going to have to make some other calendar event prior to October, part of the fiscal year, for our reservists to go train. And we really enjoyed it. We really enjoyed it. It was a learning experience. We have that table sitting right over there. There's over 120 years worth of air traffic control experience, and we saw some things today that are really interesting. So we really appreciate it. Thank you much.
We have suckered Max Calkin into doing this. So, after this event is over, we'll turn everything over to Max, but he would like to know, would you like to stay here? Do you want to go to where, Jim, where was that place? Sullivan, Missouri, or would you like to go to Harrison, Arkansas? So everybody make up their mind where they want to go, and let's, okay. Somebody that talks about Sullivan, come up here and talk about Sullivan. Somebody wants to talk about Harrison, come up and talk about it. And everybody knows what Covington is.
Okay, we got Covington, number 1, Sullivan, Missouri, wait a minute, Sullivan, Missouri, number 2, and Harrison. So we'll take it in that order. Covington, number 1. Okay, Sullivan, Missouri. I get 24. Anybody else? Somebody else ought to be counting these. Okay, Harrison, I don't think, well, all right, hold up your hands for Harrison. I don't think we'll win it, but, okay. It looks like Covington to me.